Hi there, thanks for joining us for another episode of Cook the Book. It's the summer season, so we're going to do some baking. We're going to make some ice cream sandwiches with some amazing cookies. But you know, we always start first with reviewing a book that ties into what we're baking. So we're going to be reviewing Rachel Hanna's The Baking Games. And I know many of you love books that have to do with reality TV, reality competitions. It's just kind of a fun thing, especially since they're so predominant in our society. This has to do with a baking competition called The Baking Games, where they take 20 people from around the country, lock them in a house together where they stay for 6 weeks and get voted off after every challenge. The main character is Savannah. She had a really rough childhood and ended up taking custody of her much younger sister when the mother could no longer care for them. So she's been responsible for her sister for a very long time. The sister is now 20, and Savannah has set aside her dreams to help raise her sister. And she really wants to be able to pay for her sister to go to college. Savannah's dream, she had gone to culinary school. Her dream was to own her own bakery. So at her age, she finds herself working in a grocery store bakery, really not happy with that, but making enough money to keep her and her sister afloat, but not enough to send the sister to college. So she hears about the reality competition show, The Baking Games. She applies, and after a series of interviews and psychological tests and all kinds of things, she gets accepted and goes to it. It's held in Savannah, and which it was strange to me because her name is Savannah, but anyhow, they go to Savannah where they're all locked in this beautiful house. And of course, as often happens in reality competitions, there are a few people there that are from her past. Her ex-boyfriend that she had just recently broken up with, who's also a pastry chef, he is there, and her nemesis from culinary school happens to be there too. So that's the setup for living 6 weeks in a house together. So of course they have competitions, and she finds herself kind of falling for her nemesis from culinary school. So it's a very cute, easy read. It'd be a great read to take to the pool or to the beach. You can read through it very, very quickly. It's lighthearted. She is eternally optimistic, and the guy she falls for is the grouchiest person in the world. So that's kind of cute when that happens, I think. Also, Rachel Hanna has lots of other books. She's known for her rom-coms and also for being a clean, wholesome author. So you don't have to worry about anything in here that you might be uncomfortable with. So again, since we focus on baking, one of our newest books here at the library is Duff Goldman's Super Good Baking for Kids. I love Duff Goldman. You know, if you've watched any of the Food Network shows that he's on, he's a very kind, great person. He's a great baker, but a very kind judge. He finds a way, even if he wants to criticize someone, to do it in a kind of loving manner, which I really appreciate. This book is full of great pictures, great things to do, most of them very easy, and lots of pictures of Duff. And I think Duff secretly loves unicorns. There's a lot about unicorns in this book, which I think is super cool, especially the unicorn facts, which are kind of hysterical to read. So what we will be making are ice cream cookie sandwiches. So Valerie will tell you a little bit about that.
All right. So the ones that we're gonna make, they're gonna be Snickerdoodle ice cream sandwiches, and from Duff's recipe, it's the Confetti Snickerdoodles. So they're really good.
Yes, and they're pretty with the sprinkles in them.
They are.
Mm-hmm.
So what we start with is a half a cup of butter, softened, unsalted butter, and then 3/4 cup sugar. And you mix it until it's kind of like a creamy color, kind of fluffy. So 2 to 3 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll go ahead and finish doing that. So.
And the fun thing about Duff Goldman too, he's like a big kid himself. So if you've ever seen him on anything, he's so fun to watch.
He is.
Yeah.
He really is. Yeah, I love watching the competitions and stuff with him. Okay, so our next ingredient here is an egg, just 1 large egg, and then 1 teaspoon of vanilla,
And with the consistency of this dough, is it something you could mix by hand, or you always have to have at least a hand mixer?
I would think at least a hand mixer. I mean, you might be able to, but the independent stuff
Yeah.
to do after a while. And one good thing to do when you're using a mixer is scraping down the sides, because sometimes it doesn't get well mixed if you don't do that.
Yeah, the dough smells very good already.
It does. Anything with vanilla in it though seems to
Yes.
smell good.
Yeah. So there a lot of people have made Snickerdoodles before, but maybe not confetti Snickerdoodles.
Great. I had never made confetti Snickerdoodles. And really, it just takes maybe less than a minute to mix this part up and make sure it's pretty well mixed up.
And this recipe makes about how many would you say?
I used this cookie dough scoop, and it's about 1.5 inches, because in the recipe it says about 1 to 2 inch balls, like rolled into 1 and 2 inch balls. So I figured that was a good midway one, and I got about 16 cookies out of it. So
That's really good.
the recipe says 24, so maybe if you use 1 inch, you'd get that much. So this is the flour. So you have 1 1/3 cup flour, and then you have a 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda, and then just a pinch of salt, so not very much, and then 1 teaspoon cream of tartar.
What does the cream of tartar do? Do you know?
It's, I'm not really sure. I
Yeah,
did
I
know
know.
at one point, but it's been a while.
No, that's all right.
since
I know it's in a lot of recipes,
Yeah.
but I don't know what it does.
I don't know if it's more like a leavener.
Okay, that
type
makes
thing.
sense, yeah.
So, alright, so we'll add this. If you have a spoon, you can just spoon it in. But this is the part I would think would get a little,
Hard to do by hand.
yeah,
Yeah, as it gets thick.
yeah. I just pour it in about thirds. And then I would recommend scraping the bowl one more time. Some of your flour and stuff gets stuck to the sides, so. Just to make sure it all gets mixed. But this recipe is really easy to do.
And if you had a child helping you, a child of any age, or anyone else helping you, it would be, they could easily add the things in after
Oh, yeah.
mixing.
And it doesn't take long to mix it up. So the last thing that you add to the dough is 2.5 tablespoons of the nonpareil sprinkles. You probably add what you want, but I think these work best for this recipe.
They're so
especially
colorful
since
too.
you're
Yeah.
pouring them into the dough. And once you pour those in, you don't want to mix it for very long because you don't want your mixer to crush the sprinkles. So, alright. So that's all there is to this actually.
And then if you didn't have a cookie dropper thing, I'm sure that's its official name, you could just use a regular spoon, and then do you roll them in balls?
You're supposed to chill the dough for 15 minutes.
Okay.
Which worked out really well when I
Uh-huh.
did this yesterday because we had things to go do, so did that.
So you
throw
chill the
fridge.
dough in the
Yeah.
bowl, or when you make the
I
balls?
put it in a bowl with an airtight lid.
Okay.
to put it in my refrigerator. And if you were gonna chill it in this bowl, you could do that, but probably just cover it. That would
Okay.
just be my recommendation on that.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. So this is a fun summer recipe, whether you're making ice cream sandwiches or just eating them straight away or a little of both. And this is a super fun book with lots of fun ideas, especially if you're baking with kids.
Right.
And don't forget, summer's a great time to pick up a book at the library, get a book on Libby, read anything, even if you're not in our area. Find whatever you can read this summer. You'll be happy that you did. And we'll see you next time on Cook the Book.